The Exiled galaxy was vast and full of wonders, yet it was ruled by the Galactic Council, a group of powerful beings who decided the fate of every intelligent species among all the civilizations. Humans were the youngest and smallest, living on a blue planet called Earth. The Council looked at them with suspicion, thinking humans were too wild, too unpredictable, and too emotional to join the alliance of advanced species, even though humans had curiosity, creativity, and courage that no other species could match. The Council ignored these qualities. One fateful day, a massive announcement came from the Council, echoing across the galaxy. Humans were officially banned from entering galactic space, forbidden to join trade, politics, or any Council matters. The decree shocked the people of Earth, anger and fear spreading like fire. Governments scrambled, scientists worried, and ordinary people wondered what this exile meant for their future. In orbit above Earth, massive Council ships appeared, their hulls shining like cold metal stars. No one knew the reason for the sudden ban, yet the message was clear. Humans were to be cast out. Ships hovered in silence, scanning, judging, waiting for humans to surrender. Human leaders met in secret chambers, debating what to do. Some wanted to fight immediately, risking everything. Others argued that survival meant escaping first, learning, growing, and striking back later. In the end, it was the wisdom of their oldest leader that guided them. We may be small now, but we have fire in our hearts, courage in our minds, and unity among us. We will leave, we will survive, and one day, the galaxy will remember our name, he said. With urgency, humans began preparing, converting ships for long journeys. Engineers and scientists worked day and night, creating technology the Council had never seen. Weapons were designed not just for battle, but for strategy, defense, and exploration. Families packed belongings, soldiers trained, and everyone knew that leaving home meant leaving everything familiar behind. Yet, despite the fear, there was excitement, a sense of adventure that only humans could feel. As Council ships finally gave the signal, humans boarded their own fleet, hearts racing. The engines roared, breaking the planet's silence. As one by one, human ships lifted into the void. Earth grew smaller behind them, a blue marble fading into darkness. The Council watched, satisfied, thinking they had rid the galaxy of a weak species. But humans did not despair, they did not beg, and they did not surrender. They carried hope, ambition, and a promise of the future in every heartbeat. Beyond known space, humans found nothing but empty stars and cold planets. The first weeks were difficult, with supply shortages, technical problems, and the weight of uncertainty pressing down on everyone. But humans adapted, repaired, and learned, each challenge strengthening their resolve. Among the fleet, a new culture began to grow, one of unity, courage, and determination. Every small victory, like fixing a broken engine or discovering a resource-rich asteroid, became a story of triumph. Leaders told young humans, "We may be exiled, but our journey has just begun. One day, the Council will regret underestimating us, and the galaxy will see what humans can achieve." And so, from exile, the first seeds of a new empire began to sprout, a story of survival, hope, and the quiet fire that would one day light up the stars. The first strike years passed since humans were cast out of known space. The fleet that left Earth had grown, spreading across empty star systems. Humans explored planets long forgotten, harvesting resources and uncovering hidden technologies left by civilizations that had vanished long ago. Every discovery made them stronger, sharper, and more confident. The Council thought humans were weak and scattered, but humans were planning something no one could imagine. On a distant outpost, far from the eyes of the Council, humans built their first fleet of warships. These ships were faster, stronger, and smarter than anything the Council had ever seen. Scientists developed new weapons that could disable multiple ships at once, while AI systems learned and predicted enemy movements with astonishing accuracy. The humans were ready, not for revenge, but for a test of their own power. One quiet night, Council sensors detected a small fleet approaching one of their minor outposts. At first, the Council believed it was a random attack from pirates or a rebellious species, but it was not random, and it was not weak. It was humans, moving with precision and speed, targeting only key installations in a matter of hours. The outpost's defenses were disabled, its communications jammed, and its leaders captured. The humans left behind a single message: simple but powerful. We are no longer weak. Across the galaxy, whispers of the event spread quickly. No one could understand how a species once thought insignificant could strike so effectively. Scientists and strategists began studying the reports, trying to find weaknesses, but humans had none, or at least none that the Council could detect. The first strike was not about conquest. It was about proving a point. It was about showing the galaxy that humans, though exiled, had grown into a force to be reckoned with. Meanwhile, within the human fleet, celebrations were quiet but full of pride. Leaders reminded everyone that this was just the beginning. Every challenge we face, every battle we fight, brings us closer to the empire we are destined to build. They said, young soldiers looked up at the stars, dreaming of worlds they had never seen. Every engineer, every pilot, every scientist knew they were part of something bigger, something eternal. The Council could no longer ignore the humans. They sent fleets of investigation, trying to track the fleet, to understand their movements. But humans moved like shadows through the stars, always one step ahead, always learning. Each human battle was a lesson in strategy and adaptation. No longer were they just survivors, they were pioneers and warriors. The galaxy began to ask itself a question. Could the exiled humans rise to challenge the most powerful council in existence? As humans returned to their hidden base, they were stronger, wiser, and more united. Each mission, each strike, built not only their fleet but their confidence. They understood the greatest power was not weapons alone, but intelligence, unity, and courage. In the quiet of deep space, humans trained, built, and dreamed, preparing for the day when they would no longer hide. And somewhere, in the halls of the Galactic Council, fear began to creep in, subtle but real. The whispers grew louder. The humans are no longer what we thought they were. They are becoming something more, something eternal. From exile, humans had taken the first step toward power. The first strike was a warning, a lesson, and a promise. The galaxy would never see them the same way again. And the story of their rise was only just beginning. The rise of power as years passed. Humans were no longer a hidden fleet, drifting through forgotten stars. They had grown stronger, smarter, and more united than ever. Leaders emerged among them, visionaries who inspired hope and courage in every human heart. One such leader, Commander Alaric, spoke to the fleet. We were once exiled, but we will not be forgotten. The galaxy will see our strength, our intelligence, and our unity, and they will have no choice but to respect us. Humans began colonizing planets rich with resources, building cities that combined advanced technology with human creativity. Every new world they settled became a hub of learning, innovation, and strategy. Scientists developed faster ships, powerful weapons, and AI systems capable of running entire fleets with minimal guidance. Soldiers trained tirelessly, mastering tactics that no other species could predict. Even the youngest humans understood that survival alone was not enough. They were building an empire, a force that would stretch across the stars and last for eternity. Across the galaxy, the first rumors of humans' growth began to reach other civilizations. Some species laughed, dismissing the idea of humans as dangerous. Others watched in awe, curious how such a small species could grow so fast. The Galactic Council, however, could no longer ignore the reports. They realized they had underestimated humans, and their arrogance was becoming a dangerous weakness. Humans were not just building strength, they were building alliances. World after world joined them, not because humans forced them, but because they inspired respect. Humans shared knowledge, technology, and leadership, offering freedom and unity instead of fear and control. This was a new way of ruling, one that drew admiration from even the most skeptical species. Commander Alaric reminded his people, power is not in fear alone, it is in wisdom, courage, and the bonds we create across the stars. As humans expanded, the Council tried to intervene, sending small fleets to challenge them, but humans were always prepared, predicting movements, anticipating attacks, and adapting faster than anyone could imagine. Each encounter, no matter how small, strengthened humans' reputation across the galaxy. Watch the humans. Some council members whispered. They are no longer weaklings. They are becoming the greatest power we have ever seen. Within the human empire, culture and innovation thrived. Cities on new planets were hubs of science, art, and exploration. Humans learned from each world they visited, combining knowledge from extinct civilizations with their own ingenuity. Children were trained in both science and strategy, ensuring that the next generation would be even stronger. Every new discovery, every new achievement, became a step closer to eternal power. And then came the moment that would define their rise. Humans sent a message across the galaxy, a declaration of strength, unity, and vision. It was not a threat, but a statement. We are no longer exiles. We are humans, and we are here to stay. The galaxy took notice, and fear mixed with respect began to grow in the hearts of many. The seeds of a legend were sown, the story of a species cast out, rising from nothing, and building a power that no one could ignore. From exile, humans had grown into more than survivors. They were pioneers, strategists, and leaders. Their rise of power was unstoppable, not just because of strength or technology, but because of courage, intelligence, and unity. And the galaxy would soon learn that humans were not just rising, they were creating an empire that could last for eternity. The confrontation, the Galactic Council could no longer ignore the rise of humans. Reports of their growing fleets, advanced technology, and loyal allies filled council chambers. Leaders argued, pointing fingers and blaming one another for underestimating a species they once called weak. Finally, they decided to act, sending a massive fleet to confront the humans and crush their growing power. But humans were ready. Every move of the council had been predicted. Every tactic countered. Commander Alaric stood on the bridge of the flagship.com and confident. "We are not just fighting for survival anymore," he said to his officers. "We are showing the galaxy that humans cannot be ignored. Prepare for battle. But remember, intelligence and strategy are stronger than raw power." As the council fleet approached, humans waited in silence among the asteroids. They used the terrain to their advantage, hiding their strongest ships while luring the council into traps. The first clash erupted near a moon. Lasers cutting through the dark void, humans moved with precision, disabling ships without unnecessary destruction. The council was shocked. Their greatest fleets unable to predict the human strategy. Battles raged across planets, moons, and asteroid belts, each one a demonstration of human ingenuity. Ships repaired themselves, AI-controlled drones supported soldiers, and human tactics outsmarted even the most experienced council generals. Every victory, no matter how small, sent a message across the galaxy. Humans were not weak. The exiled species had become a force the council could not challenge. Meanwhile, in council chambers, fear began to grow, subtle at first but undeniable. Leaders whispered among themselves, "They are faster, smarter, and more united than we imagined. Have we made a mistake in casting them out?" Even some council members began secretly contacting humans, curious to understand how they had achieved such power. But humans trusted no one yet, knowing the council's pride and arrogance could lead to betrayal. Within the human fleet, celebrations were quiet but filled with pride. Officers reminded everyone that this was not the end of the war, but a step toward something greater. Soldiers who once feared council ships now stood tall, confident in their strength and unity. Humans had learned that victory was not only about weapons, but intelligence, courage, and trust in one another. The confrontation reached its peak when humans surrounded the council's main command fleet. They did not destroy it completely, instead showing mercy, a lesson in strategy and wisdom. The council realized that humans were not just fighters, they were leaders and visionaries. From exile, humans had grown into a power that challenged even the mightiest authority in the galaxy. As silence returned to the battlefield, humans regrouped, stronger than ever. Commander Alaric looked to the stars, knowing the next step was even bigger. The council, once proud and untouchable, now feared the species they had cast out. Whispers spread across the galaxy, stories of humans who could defeat fleets, outsmart generals, and unite worlds. The legend of humans had grown, and the stage was set for the final rise, an empire that could last forever. From exile to confrontation, humans had proven a simple truth. Strength alone does not create power. Unity, intelligence, and courage do, and the galaxy would soon witness the full extent of the empire humans were destined to build. An eternal empire. The battles had ended, but the story of humans was far from over. The Galactic Council, once proud and untouchable, had been humbled by the species they had exiled. Across the galaxy, whispers and stories spread of a people who had turned rejection into power, fear into strategy, and exile into destiny. Humans began building their empire, not with oppression, but with vision, wisdom, and unity. Planets once isolated became hubs of trade, science, and culture. Cities rose like silver and glass among the stars, filled with knowledge, innovation, and hope. Every world under human influence thrived, for humans shared leadership, technology, and opportunity, earning respect and loyalty, not fear. Commander Alaric stood before the Council of Humans, now leaders of countless planets. We were exiled for being small, for being weak, but we are humans, adaptable, courageous, and united. From our exile, we have built not just fleets, but alliances, not just cities, but a civilization that will last beyond time itself, he said. Across the galaxy, former enemies watched in awe as humans governed with wisdom and fairness. They did not conquer with fire alone, but with intelligence, diplomacy, and strategy. Even the Galactic Council, humbled and cautious, recognized humans' power for the first time. A species that had once been cast out was no longer feared, but respected. The humans had created something more than an empire. They had created a legend, a force whose influence would stretch across eternity. On distant worlds, young humans studied the history of their species. They learned how their ancestors had faced exile, survived, and thrived against impossible odds. Stories of courage, innovation, and unity inspired new generations. They trained as explorers, scientists, and leaders, ready to continue the legacy of the Empire. Every child dreamed not just of reaching the stars, but of shaping them, building, leading, and creating. The Galactic Council, now careful and wary, no longer saw humans as weak or reckless. They studied humans, learning from their strategies, hoping to understand how a species could rise from nothing to shape the galaxy. But humans had learned to every council move. Every attempt to control was anticipated and countered. Their empire was strong, not only in ships and weapons, but in unity, knowledge, and vision. Legends spread of humans who were once exiled, but became the rulers of stars. Civilizations that doubted them now sought alliances, trade, and friendship. The galaxy had been transformed, not by force alone, but by the brilliance and courage of a single species. Humans had proven that rejection could be a beginning, that adversity could forge greatness. From exile, they had created an empire whose power would last forever, whose name would echo across time. And so, the humans, once cast out, became a symbol of hope, courage, and eternal strength. The stars no longer belonged to the Council alone. They belonged to all who dared to dream, to fight, and to rise from the ashes of exile. A species had created something eternal, something unforgettable. The human empire, built on unity, intelligence, and courage, would shine across the galaxy for generations to come.